Hello and welcome to the Farming Today podcast with me, Charlotte Smith. In this episode, Northern Ireland's government is warned it'll miss environmental targets and the growers enjoying the heat.
It's come at a very good time really because the vines have just come into flowering, so we really do want dry and particularly not wet weather. And vines, being Mediterranean plants, have got very deep roots so they can cope with the heat and they look lush and green and very happy.
First though, this week we've been at the inaugural Global Agritourism Conference in Aberdeen and so have been looking at the tourism businesses farmers have diversified into. There is a huge variety, everything from the familiar b&bs to off-road experiences and walking with llamas. Well, one farm that offers the full agricultural experience is Brook Meadow in Northamptonshire. It's a working farm with a busy summer campsite, all run by the Hart family. Our reporter Howard Shannon went to meet them.
Well, as you arrive, you see a farm shop at the entrance doubling up as a reception centre, with tractors and machinery parked up in a large barn. Now, 82-year-old Jasper Hart and his wife Mary started farming here in 1967. It's a 400-acre arable and dairy farm. Initially, it's a bed and breakfast and was run by Mary, with guests staying in the farmhouse itself. It's all managed by Jasper and Mary's daughter Claire. Today, Brook Meadow has become a mix of caravans, tents and a series of, quite luxurious-looking chalets.
So you've got a cinema in a cowshed with straw bale seating and the egg collecting experience with Mum and the farm tours with Jasper. So they're staying in the campsite in the middle of the working farm and they get to experience and connect with the farm whilst they're here.
Is the actual campsite now the major income source for the farm as opposed to Jasper's farming work?
Yeah, it's definitely the lead business in terms of the turnover.
Jasper, do you feel a farm like this is a good educational setting then for young people to learn?
Yes, that does. And also when we take them on, I ask them if they want to sit in a tractor and they thoroughly enjoy that, sitting in that, and they have a look at some of last year's born bulls that are down there and they like just touching the face of a bull. It's a bit different for them. We have a field, an old ridge and furrow field, and we talk about that.
Well, as I'm walking around the farm, I've now come across Jan, who's staying in one of the chalets here.
Well, it's fabulous. It's what I wanted the grandchildren to experience. We've met the farmer, learning a little bit more about hens and what they're like, and then they went and got on the tractor, and the farmer was great. He just told us all about the history and they were able to ask him lots of questions.
Howard Shannon reporting there. It's hot. You may have noticed that, to be fair. Much of the country has been enjoying or enduring a heatwave this week, and I suspect some of you are hearing Farming Today for the first time as you just can't sleep. Welcome. You can also find us on BBC Sounds. For farmers, weather is a constant challenge, so when two or more are gathered together, there will be the comparison of weather forecasting apps and dark murmurings about prospects for the weeks ahead. They'll also keep an eye on the daily reports from local weather stations. So how do they work? And are they really of any use? Vernon Harwood visited the Reading weather station where he met meteorologist Dr. Rob Thompson.
Welcome to the University of Reading. I'm just going to take you into the atmospheric observatory where we take all of the measurements and readings of what's going on with the weather and climate through the gate, and the first things we see really is just a suite of instruments and masts. Rain gauges, there's wind and anemometers. You see a lot of the cups spinning that many people will recognise as an anemometer.
Now, this institution has more than a century's heritage of teaching agriculture and land-based studies. I'm assuming it's no accident that it had a weather station at the very beginning.
No, I'm sure that the weather station part of it was because of agriculture. The meteorology department didn't start until the 1970s. So this was here likely for the agriculture before it was for any form of meteorology, because it's vital to agriculture.
Something that's quite familiar, I think, to a lot of people is a thing called a Stevenson screen. They may not know the name. It has louvered sides. It's painted white. It's about 4 feet off the ground. It's a box, basically.
I'll open it up. Thermometers is what you normally expect to put in here. That's because we measure temperatures in the shade. We don't do direct sunshine as the standard temperature reading. Direct sunshine is very variable on exactly how sunny it is, what surface you've got around you and so on. The shade is more consistent. The temperatures and so on, the humidities, they really matter for growing crops and so on. But it's important not to waste water particularly. So Best thing to do is try and do it in the evening quite late. I went out and watered my allotment at 11 o'clock last night just to try and make sure that the water got into the ground a bit rather than just evaporate away.
What does all this tell us about the future of growing and rearing livestock in the UK?
I think the most important message is our climate is changing. And because our climate is changing, the things we grow, some of them don't grow very well anymore or are getting worse, but maybe we're getting new things that we can grow that we never could before. So I think we need to think about changing what's grown and maybe diversifying what's grown. So when we get the really hot year, we cope with that. But also when we don't, it's not that everything fails because we expected it.
Dr. Rob Thompson there. Well, this heatwave has seen some livestock markets cancelled to protect animal welfare, and for many farmers the hot weather is a bit of a trial, with everything that needs doing on the farm still needing doing, just hotter, unless of course you can nab a job in an air-conditioned tractor cab. But spare a thought for those spending all day walking up and down fields in the sun hand weeding. Roguing, as it's known, to tackle rogue weeds, is the last line of defence against weeds like blackgrass, which can seriously lower arable harvest yields. Sarah Falkingham joined a team of seasonal workers on her family farm in Yorkshire.
My name is Shem. The full name is Przemysław Gluszkowski. It's very difficult.
And you're the supervisor today?
Yes, I am supervisor.
So we're walking through this field of wheat and we're looking for blackgrass, which is a sort of feathery grass. So we've just found some here.
We're working in the group 10, 15 people. We keep the gaps between people 3-4 meters. If we found something, pull out. Every single one has a pull out.
And you've been here since how long this morning?
We start 7 o'clock and we just finish now 3.
3 o'clock.
Yes, it's very, very hot. I can't keep people too long on the field because it's very hot.
The sun is beating down here.
Yeah.
And how many hours, days, weeks do you spend doing this?
Usually every season we start first week of the May and finish August, in the end of August.
My name's Mike Thompson. I'm the agronomist on this farm we're looking at today, helping look after the crops.
And why is blackgrass such a problem for farmers?
One plant can produce thousands of seeds per season. It gets out of control, then it can make a yield deficit.
Hand weeding is the last line of defence. What are farmers doing in other ways to control blackgrass?
They're using cultural control and chemicals, but we prefer to use cultural first, creating seed beds to get the blackgrass to germinate, and then we can kill that flush of blackgrass seed before we sow the crops in autumn or spring. But then after that we would then move to chemical control, which is like what we call an autumn residual herbicide, but it doesn't always get every one. We hope to achieve 90-95%, but we're always left with odd ones in bad situations.
And that's where the roguing comes in?
That's where you go to roguing. The best use of roguing is on the fields that just have odd blackgrass plants, and if we can get them plants out, we keep that a clean field.
I like this job because, it's very close to nature, but if it's too hot or too big rain, so this is very hard, so it's not easy.
That report from Sarah Falkingham in Yorkshire. The heatwave isn't a problem for everyone. It's mostly welcome in vineyards. Some had a difficult spring with badly timed frost, so winemakers are glad to see the sun at an opportune moment. Zoe Evans from Roton Vineyard in Shropshire told Sarah Swadling why.
Well, it's come at a very good time really because the vines have just come into flowering, so we really do want dry and particularly not wet weather during the flowering period, so it is actually perfect for us. And vines, being Mediterranean plants, have got very deep roots, so they can cope with the heat and they look lush and green and very happy.
Where are we looking for the blossom?
Generally you've got the main trunk that comes up to the fruiting wire, which is about hip height, and then just above there is where the grapes will be, so it's in that first sort of fruiting zone. Everything above will just be a big panel of leaves, which will be our kind of solar panel, as you were, creating lots of photosynthesis to feed the energy into the grapes.
You can just see the tiniest, teeny tiny little grapes just forming.
So these ones are just finishing flowering now, so the little stoma push off a cap, which is why we can't cope with wet weather at this period, because the cap can get stuck during wet weather and then the berry won't become fertilised. But obviously because of the dry weather, most of the berries have set really well, which makes for an even bunch, which is much easier when it comes to harvest because we won't have kind of small berries and big berries in the same bunch. So yeah, we've got very even fruit set. This variety, Solaris, is all set. The Pinot is just finishing and the Seyval's just starting. So we're almost there.
Do you dread a really heavy thunderstorm then at the end of a heat wave?
Big showers would be fine. It's just prolonged rain. So 2024, the weather in June, early July was just torrential rain all day, every day. And that caused us very bad problems with fruit set. So yeah, the odd shower's fine, but we just don't want a lot of it for a long period of time.
Zoe Evans there with fingers firmly crossed. Northern Ireland is largely missing the targets in its own environmental improvement plan. A report from the environment watchdog, the Office for Environmental Protection, says of 38 targets, just 2 are likely to be met, and that ministers must now move from planning and strategies into delivery. BBC Northern Ireland's environment correspondent Louise Cullen has been looking at this and explained how the OEP came to its findings.
So what it's done is look at the plan, which is structured around 6 strategic environmental outcomes that cover everything from air and water quality to how we use our resources. And they've looked at 38 individual targets and outcomes within that. Their prognosis is that pretty much every single trend and every single target here is off track.
So what does the OEP recommend then?
They're calling for urgent and sustained action, focusing on effective reduction of nutrients. And that's because they say that underpins so much of the environmental challenges in Northern Ireland. They've described Lough Neagh, of course you'll remember the algal crisis there, which is going to repeat for summers and years to come. They say that it is a beacon of the consequences of not tackling these environmental challenges. And the chief scientist at the OEP, Robbie MacDonald, says it's more than Lough Neagh.
That's not just for Lough Neagh, that's across all of Northern Ireland's water and air. It's about increasing the circular economy, improving resource use and reducing waste and improving recycling. And it's about ensuring nature's recovery. And all of those are well within the reach of this executive. So it is a matter of then pulling together, moving away from thinking about things, from planning, from strategies, into delivery.
Who's to blame for all this, Louise? Is it the department? Is it the executive?
Well, this is an executive-approved environmental improvement plan, which means it went before our executive, all the ministers at Stormont, and they each had to say yes. Now, I have to say that when I spoke to the Agriculture, Environment and Rural Affairs Minister, Andrew Muir, he was very clear about who he says is to blame.
This is tough reading. The 2 key issues I need is the political support for the interventions required to achieve that significant environmental improvement, but also the finances. I have over 800 vacancies in my department. We need to get those posts filled so we can get on with the job.
So the minister is really pointing at the people around the executive table that he is sitting with and asking them to hurry up, put in place the actions, because the problem is that the longer these things go on, the harder it is for them to get fixed. Action right here, right now, the OEP says, is critical.
Louise Cullen. That's it from us. I'm Charlotte Smith. The producer is Beatrice Fenton, and Farming Today is a BBC Audio Bristol production.